July 22nd, 2025. Sharon Osbourne posted a message that broke the hearts of millions around the world. It is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love. The Prince of Darkness was gone, just 17 days after his final performance, just weeks after he sat on a throne at Villa Park in Birmingham and sang Paranoid one last time. Ozzy Osbourne, the man who seemed invincible, the man who survived everything, was dead at 76. And the way it happened, the timing, the final moments destroyed everyone who loved him. If this story hits you as hard as it hit me, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel because we're telling the real stories, the human stories behind the legends. Now let me tell you about Ozzy's final chapter and why it's breaking hearts around the world. For years, everyone knew Ozzy was fighting Parkinson's disease, spinal surgeries, pain that never went away. But Ozzy being Ozzy, he kept trying to come back. He announced farewell tours that got postponed. He did interviews where you could see him struggling but still cracking jokes. He was supposed to fade away quietly, retire to his mansion in Los Angeles, spend his final years in peace. But that's not who Ozzy Osbourne was. He needed one more show, one more moment on stage, one final goodbye. In early 2025, an announcement came that shocked the rock world. Black Sabbath was reuniting for one night only. Back to the beginning, July 5th at Villa Park in Birmingham, Ozzy's hometown, the original lineup, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, and Ozzy, together again for the first time in decades. But there was a catch. Ozzy couldn't stand anymore. His body had given up. Parkinson's had taken his ability to walk without assistance, so they built him a throne, a massive black throne where he would sit and perform, the Prince of Darkness on his literal throne for his final bow. The days leading up to that show were brutal for Ozzy. Sharon later revealed he could barely sleep. He was terrified his voice wouldn't work, terrified his body would fail him on stage in front of 40,000 people and millions watching the live stream. He had trainers coming to the house 4 days a week, vocal coaches, physical therapists, everything to prepare him for 2 hours of performing while sitting in a chair. Most people have no idea how hard it is to sing sitting down. Your diaphragm doesn't work the same way. Your breath control is different. But Ozzy was determined. This was his goodbye. It had to be perfect. July 5th, 2025, Villa Park Stadium in Birmingham, the city where Ozzy grew up poor, where he got kicked out of school, where he placed that ad in the music shop window that changed everything. Ozzy Zig needs gig. Now he was back 57 years later for his final performance. The crowd was massive, 42,000 people packed into that stadium, another 5.8 million watching online. Everyone knew what this was. The end of an era, the last time they would ever see Ozzy Osbourne perform. When Ozzy was wheeled out on that black throne, the roar from the crowd was deafening. He looked frail, thinner than anyone remembered. His hands were shaking, but when he grabbed that microphone and the opening riffs of War Pigs started, something happened. His voice cut through the stadium like it was 1970 again, powerful, focused, unmistakable. That voice that defined heavy metal for over 50 years was still there. Ozzy performed 4 songs that night: War Pigs, NIB, Iron Man, Paranoid, each one more emotional than the last. By the time he sang Paranoid, there were grown men in the audience crying. Tony Iommi had tears running down his face while he played guitar. This was it, the final moment, and everyone in that stadium knew they were witnessing something they would never see again. After the show, Ozzy was exhausted, completely drained, but he was smiling. He told Sharon it was the perfect ending. He had said goodbye the right way, in his hometown, with his brothers, on his own terms. For a few days, everything seemed okay. The reviews were incredible. Fans around the world were posting videos of themselves watching the live stream, crying, celebrating Ozzy's legacy. It felt like a proper farewell, a beautiful ending to an impossible life. Then on the morning of July 22nd, everything changed. Ozzy was at his family home in Birmingham. He had stayed in the UK after the Villa Park show, wanting to spend more time with family and friends in his hometown. Sharon was there, the kids were there. It was supposed to be a normal morning, but Ozzy started having trouble breathing. His chest felt tight. Sharon called for help immediately, but within minutes Ozzy collapsed. Paramedics arrived, but it was too late. The official cause of death was a heart attack, coronary artery disease, Parkinson's. His body had fought for so long, and finally it gave up. He was 76 years old. He died in Birmingham, the same city where he had said his final goodbye on stage just 17 days earlier. The news hit the music world like a bomb. Within an hour, tributes were pouring in from everywhere. Metallica, Slayer, Judas Priest, Paul McCartney, Elton John, thousands of musicians whose lives were changed by Ozzy. The Black Sabbath official page posted just 2 words: Ozzy forever. Tony Iommi released a statement that he had lost his brother, his partner, his friend. Geezer Butler said he couldn't believe Ozzy was gone. They had been together since they were teenagers. Over 57 years of history. Now it was over. What made Ozzy's death so heartbreaking was the timing. 17 days, that's all he had after his final show. 17 days to process what he had accomplished, to feel that one last moment of glory, and then he was gone. Some people said it was almost poetic, that Ozzy got to go out on his own terms with one final perfect performance, and then he didn't have to suffer anymore. But for his family, for his fans, it felt too soon, too sudden. Even though everyone knew Ozzy was sick, even though everyone knew this day would come eventually, it still felt like the world wasn't ready to say goodbye. Sharon was destroyed. She had been by Ozzy's side for over 40 years. Through the chaos, the addiction, the overdoses, the accidents, the comeback, the reality show, the health scares. She had seen him at his worst and at his best. And in those final years, she had become his caregiver. The woman who once managed his career was now the woman who helped him walk, who made sure he took his medication, who held him when he was scared. Losing him left a hole that nothing could fill. Kelly, Jack, and Amy were all there when he died. They got to say goodbye. But that doesn't make it easier. Watching your father take his last breath is something you never forget. The funeral was private, just family and close friends. No media circus, no big public memorial. That came later. But in those first days, the Osbourne family just wanted to grieve in peace, to process the fact that Ozzy, the man who had been larger than life for so long, was really gone. Sharon kept his ashes. She said she couldn't let him go. Not yet, maybe not ever. What Ozzy left behind is almost impossible to measure. Black Sabbath invented heavy metal. Ozzy's solo career produced some of the most iconic songs in rock history. Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley, No More Tears, Mama, I'm Coming Home. He influenced every metal band that came after him. Metallica, Iron Maiden, Slayer, Pantera. All of them pointed to Ozzy as the reason they picked up a guitar. He changed music forever. But beyond the music, Ozzy showed people that you could survive anything. He was the ultimate survivor. Drugs, alcohol, accidents, overdoses, lawsuits, scandals. He went through hell 100 times and always came back until the one thing he couldn't survive: time and biology. The legacy of Ozzy Osbourne isn't just in the music. It's in the proof that you can be deeply flawed, messy, broken, and still create something beautiful. Ozzy was never perfect. He made terrible decisions. He hurt people he loved. He destroyed his body with decades of abuse, but he also loved fiercely. He created art that moved millions. He made people feel less alone. And in the end, he faced his mortality with honesty and grace. That's the real story of Ozzy Osbourne, not the bat-biting madman, not the reality TV star, the man who lived 1,000 lives and somehow made it to 76 before his body finally gave up. Ozzy Osbourne died on July 22, 2025, surrounded by the people he loved. 17 days after his final performance, 17 days after proving one last time that he was the Prince of Darkness. And even though he's gone, his voice will echo forever. In every metal song, in every kid who picks up a guitar, in every person who refuses to give up no matter how hard life gets. Ozzy forever. If this story moved you, turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. We're covering more untold stories from rock legends. And check out our video on other musicians who faced their final days with courage. Thanks for watching, and remember, legends never really die, they just become immortal.